Hello, everyone. A major update in regards to Hedera, HBAR, Quant QNT, and yes, even a Ripple XRP, the digital euro. Now, I understand for a lot of people, you may look at like, nope, not Ripple XRP because RLUSD, and you feel as though it's only going to be the United States with the whole concept of a stablecoin. They're not going to do a CBDC. Right. America is not going to do CBDC, but Ripple is not just only America, right? They're a worldwide company. So we have a massive update from myself and Channing. All we ask you to do, it's free. Smash that like. Consider sticking to the end of the outline. This is a major, major update in regards to all of these, as Channing would mention, these conglomerates and the whole concept of a digital euro. So this is a digital euro update. Before we get into the material, this benefits the channel, the Decent wallet, not your keys, not your crypto. Get yourself a significant discount, and then we'll come right back.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. So just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
All right, welcome back. So let's jump into it. Let's share what we have. And this was 6 hours ago. I want to give a shout out to this guy. He mentions, as in King XRP, I'm going to follow him. He says the EU, European Union, is advancing the digital euro initiative to counter Trump's push for US-backed stablecoins. The European Central Bank, ECB, warns that stablecoins could disintermediate banks on a global scale. Yes, Ripple RLUSD is set to tokenize the euro. All right, so is this going to be something that's going to be a big worry moving forward? I don't think so. But emphasis should be on your screen about what you see right here. DEA, as in Digital Euro Association, not the other DEA that everybody's familiar with. Digital Euro Association partners with Ripple dating back to February 11, 2022. Now, I got to point this out real quick. You see that Ripple is supporting partner of the DEA, and it mentions that the DEA is delighted to announce this partnership with Ripple as a supporting partner to jointly work on central bank digital currency, CBDCs. Ripple is one of the leading, ones to do that. Well, again, I understand the whole thing of, Trump banning CBDCs for America, but again, Ripple is not going to make a CBDC for America, but they can make a CBDC obviously for Europe and other places in the world. Nothing against this guy, but there's always people that point this out. Old news 2022, clown, refreshing your page, please. All right. Guess what? You need to look further into this yourself. Why? Well, look what we have from January 28th. This really flew under the radar. Special thanks to the DEA's standard, and you see this lady, Tamara Schmidt, and this video only got 124 views. Again, really flew under the radar. Why did it fly under the radar? It's the whole thing of open source Hedera Stablecoin Studio. Yes, and what do you see at the top? Special thanks to DEA and the whole thing of Ripple, Aleph Zero. Some of you guys hold Aleph Zero. You see Circle at the bottom, but emphasis will be on Hedera and, believe it or not, Quant Network. Yes, even Quant Network. We're going to play this. I fast forward to this key area. Listen to this in regards to Hedera being a leaderless proof of stake public network and how they're revolutionizing stablecoins. Listen to this new presentation, and we'll, if anything, get Channing's take on it here in a bit. Again, smash that like if you haven't done so already. We appreciate you. Here we go.
And if you want to try it out without installing any software, except for a wallet on our testnet, then you can head to stablecoinstudio.com. This is where the application is hosted for you to try and issue your stablecoin very, very, very quickly. We also leveraged some capabilities that the Hedera network provides across the different services. So if you recall earlier, I alluded to three services: the Hedera Consensus Service, the Hedera Token Service, and Hedera Smart Contracts. And so the idea with the Hedera Token Service is that you can issue tokens on the Hedera network, stable, fungible tokens or non-fungible tokens, without relying on smart contracts at all. So that means that non-Solidity developers can very quickly create stable coins or tokens on the Hedera network using the Hedera Token Service, which is native and very efficient. On the other hand, we have the traditional smart contracts, which is how you would deploy a stable coin or a token on an EVM-like network, such as Ethereum or others. But with that smart contracts, you get less in terms of throughput. The cost of operations or transactions are slightly higher than they would be with a native service. So we were faced with a dilemma or a choice, right? Do we use the token service or do we use smart contracts? And it turns out that Hedera's implementation of both its EVM and its native token service are interoperable to a point whereby we can deploy a stablecoin or a token as a native token. So we get very high throughput and very low costs. But we can delegate some of the management of the token to a smart contract where we can implement more complex roles, such as proof of reserve, which we'll look at later on.
Okay, so there's quite a bit of material here. There's a lot of technical side of it and so on. Where I want to go with this is where he talks about the deployment of some of this and especially where we're at right now. Before I kick it over to Channing, I want you guys to see this for yourself. Back to the previous slide, if you want to call it that. In the description, it mentions specifically about DEA, Digital Euro Association. Don't lose eye on that term. The Digital Euro Association is a think tank specializing in crypto assets, stable coins, central bank digital currencies, right, CBDCs, and other forms of digital money. The EA is committed to independence in aggregating and amplifying the views of society, and basically it's supposed to be for the public good, supposedly. It mentions that the DEA is an independent voice of citizens regarding digital money related topics. So if you have digital money, one would allude to it needs to be programmable. All right, check this out. What about Quant Network and the whole thing of the digital euro? Now, again, think about it. This was, again, from March of 2024, but you see here, plain as day, constant references from Gilbert Verdian about digital euro legislation and what it will mean for financial institutions. Talks about, for example, there's an updated draft in regards to the digital euro legislation, how they see that there's going to be several key changes. Again, think about what happened over the last year. And again, emphasis on Gilbert Verdian pointing out that the digital euro presents an opportunity to use new tools. Here's your highlight. And technologies that can help tackle the ongoing challenge of fraud. So for me, with all that's mentioned here, right? I mean, I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face, but the tools is the key highlight, especially understanding Hedera's point of view. And even when we get further into it, Channing, I mean, look at this. The need for privacy, digital euro. Central bank also stated that consumers will be able to use the digital euro, again, offline. You and I just did an outline in regards to the Finternet. So to me, it's like this is all coming together. And when we get to the bottom in regards to the tags, you see CBDC, digital currencies, payments, and permissionless blockchain. So before we get more into the whole concept, everybody, of the digital euro, again, shout out to our brother here, Channing. I definitely want to get your take because I know you cover Hedera quite a bit, especially lately on your channel.
Most definitely, most definitely. So just like I kind of sort of covered in the video for, I want to say it was Thursday, in the video from Saturday with Hedera. The Thursday video was talking about the drop integration and how drop is tying into the clearinghouse and Fed now, and how drop is built on top of Hedera, so that, you know, that's more so that tokenized money, right? So, but then I talked about Hedera and the Nairobi Security Exchange. So now you're having a complete country security exchange now utilizing Hedera to tokenize their security exchange. Think about that. And that ties directly into the Stablecoin studio and Hedera's tokenization studio as well, that literally is building out tokenized versions of whether it's central bank money for CBDCs or something like a traditional player of securities or treasuries and things of that nature. You have Hedera right there with a major seat at the table. And I believe, just give it some time, we're going to see a lot more coming from the partnership of Hedera and Ripple, because they coexist in the same spaces in regards to a couple of these digital central bank dollars are concerned. And to know, of course, Quant, think about it. Quant, a part of EBA Day. And what is EBA Day? It is literally the Euro associations coming together saying how we're going to interoperate within Europe as far as our digital payments are concerned and digital infrastructure for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And on EBA Day, what was Gilbert Burdian's interview? It was literally about programmable payments. It's because Overledger gives these blockchains this integration of literally, let's just think infinity, where you can tap into anything, you can program it to do anything. You have these, you know, these maps, you have these secure smart contracts, these secure whales that are not only standardized because it's a part of a standard, but also being possibly even adapted into things like the law that's being codified in the country. And if you think, oh, that can never happen, think about it like this. The Federal Reserve is a private company that has a law around it that they are the sole proprietorship for creating currency in America. Think about that. It's a law that they're the only company that can do that. So if they did it once, you can have other countries codify laws in whatever way that best fits the country during that point in time, okay? And to know that they can tap into Hedera and be up and running operational wise with just a few clicks of a button, and now bam, I have a stable coin. If I want to go a little bit deeper into it as far as, you know, showing reserves, I can just do a little more. And now I'm at a point to where now I'm compliant with MiCA, I'm compliant with the future regulation in the US, I'm compliant with the future regulation built out in the UK, all at a click of a button, because I am working with a compliant entity that had a seat at the table with things like the DEA, helping them build out the framework for what this digital dollar or digital euro or digital yuan or whatever it may be, depending on whatever country you sit in, whatever you call your currency. They had a spot that's sitting and building the framework for it. It's incredible. And no, Quant is right there, the stable, the foundation for building on the foundation of digital finance and the foundation for building on blockchain, but also know that Ripple, with all of their multiple partnerships globally with the banks as well, and how we already know that Quant and Ripple have had a work relationship for quite some time now, and now it's starting to see that HBAR is right there in the mix as well. There was either a video I put on one of my videos where Gilbert is literally saying, if you want to move a transaction fast, you use Hedera Hashgraph. Like, they know about these things. This space is not segmented. This space is already intertwined and interwoven, and it's the little people that creates the tribalism, because the big boys are working together because they see the vision and they know that this vision cannot be fully implemented without us banding together and working together and moving harmoniously through the space. So that's it, brother. I kick it back over to you.
Yeah, harmonization, you know, means so many things, but I look at like who's the orchestrator. It's definitely the Quant network. And, we talked about this numerous times. Listen, guys, I want to share this with you. This is a really key catch. So we share with you the whole thing about tools. Check this out. What is next for the digital euro? This is a great catch. I hope you guys appreciate that. Let's pull it up on your screen. And basically it comes, believe it or not, from the Quant network. So let's full screen it. What do you see here? Bottom of the page, what's next for digital euro? As the ECB progresses in the whole thing of developing a digital euro, it will continue to iterate design elements, address concerns, and optimize benefits. We look forward to see how the digital euro continues to evolve. This provides a unique opportunity for commercial banks. Again, think about this, all right? So that is, again, I think the timing of this all makes sense. And as we get further into it, is there any other mention from Quant Network about the digital euro? The answer is basically yes. It says here, in contrast, because remember how we point out the whole thing of Ripple and RLUSD and how the United States of America will not do a CBDC, right? So they reference this and says President-elect Trump has been a vocal opponent of CBDC and has supported the CBDC Anti-Surveillance Act, which prevents the Fed from issuing a CBDC without congressional approval. Having vowed to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world, his election victory means that, at least for the duration of his term, we can rule out the prospect of a digital dollar. The EU finds itself somewhere in the middle, while the European Central Bank has pushed ahead with working on creating a digital euro. It faces the challenge of securing buy-in from its member states, many of whom are less enthusiastic about the project than the ECB and the European Commission. However, CBDC development will therefore be gradual and inconsistent with different jurisdictions moving at different paces. All right. Well, you have to also keep in mind it's the whole thing of fintechs. And look what it says in regards to that. Fintechs are redefining what it means to be a financial service provider by expanding well beyond the realm of traditional banking. Companies, once again, Revolut, are moving to areas such as payroll services and invoice processing, making a shift from the core banking model to become comprehensive lifestyle and business platforms under, or I should say, all under one digital roof. Is Quant part of that digital roof? Are they literally the roof? We talk about them being the table. Are they also the roof? Take it as you will. Now check this out. We talked about stablecoins. This also gets good. So I want to take you to this part. This dates back to 2023. Now you may think, well, why point this out? Again, everything has a starting point. So commercial stablecoin issuance, part 2, risk and long-term vision. Again, Andrew Carrier. But this part right here, having a stablecoin that settles 24/7, instantly cross borders, would be a step ahead. And then this other part of any bank regulated stablecoin needs to be recognized as risk-free by the regulators. Again, back to we saw with the interview from that gentleman over at Hedera's, this whole stablecoin studio thing. Think about that. This is aging very well. So what about the whole thing of again, stable coins and where are we at with this? Broader conceptual level, banks must consider how stablecoin adoption could affect their funding models. What lies ahead? Stablecoin needs improvement payment services. It referenced JP Morgan once again. And I want to jump down to this bottom part. We've seen the likes of Facebook build their own applications on top of the internet's open source infrastructure that allow you to transfer value over networks. This has incentivized people to stay on their platform, but it generally goes against the ethos of blockchain. All right. Well, with that said, I want to show you guys just a little bonus. Just in case you're like, I don't know about some of this stuff. This sounds too odd to me, right? Well, believe it or not, if you were to go over to, for example, Zapier, right? And check out some specific things. Well, does this not seem familiar to you? Look at this. You have orchestration of Overledger with some of this, conversations and whatnot, how to pair it with some of this stuff. Yeah, you can automatically do some of this. So when we go to just even this, and then we jump back to this and the whole thing about Facebook, think about how this all comes together, to say the very least. And if anything, before I kick it over to this part of an old article that I had, yes, cited myself, I do want to get Channy's take about this, because Channy, the way I look at it, brother, is, we're starting to see how it all is coming into fruition. 2023, and it's just like, check. What's going on now? Check. What's the DEA doing? Check. It's all coming together. You have toolkits. Hedera's doing this. Quant's referencing that. Ripple's doing this. All three of these. And we're going to give you guys the key person in regards to, he's been with Ripple, he's been with Hedera, and he's even been with Quant Network. So your thoughts, Mr. Channing?
It's kind of sort of like another shout out to the video that I did and I released on Saturday. I believe it's titled Hedera Tokenizing Securities or something along those lines. Go check it out. I might pin it at the end of this. But more importantly, understand this. When the gentleman, the CEO of the Nairobi Stock Exchange, he kept saying this same sentence over and over and over again. We're with Hedera because they are regulatory compliant. They're compliant. They're compliant. They're compliant. Understand this. How can you be compliant before regulation goes into place? What do? You align yourself with the standard, because we know that the regulation will be built off of what information the standard provides. And we've already tied Hedera into multiple standards, including ISO TC307, Quant Network Standard for building on blockchain. So think about it in that realm. We're going back to standards, but standards are so important because it literally is telling everybody, hey, this is the field, this is the guidelines of the field, stay within this field, and you're working within the standard. You're good to go with the major corporations and multinational institutions when they're ready to come into this space, because you are already operating within the walls of the standard. Think about that. And Quant Network is literally the convener, creator, orchestrator of the standard for building on blockchain. Okay, now jumping into Hedera and understand what that tokenization studio is and how these people are actually utilizing it, and understand that the reason why is because Hedera has predictable fees feed out in fiat, meaning I can tap into this system and I know I can actually build a budget because it's not these huge swings up and down. I know that if I'm going to do a certain amount of fees or a certain amount of transactions on this distributed ledger technology, that is probably going to roughly cost me this, because this is a set standard fee for this type of transaction on this network. This is the reason why you have so many major players now openly starting to voice, like the Nairobi Stock Exchange. You have, like, again, you have things like Saudi Aramco, Chevron, Exxon, and that consortium of whatever. I believe they're doing something with energy, but know that HBAR is the only layer one a part of that. You have things like, your Mondeleys and your Google and your LG and your Boeing. And you have your potential ties to SpaceX and Sealcoin and all of these things, Hedera going into space, and all of these things that Hedera is gathering up under their umbrella. And again, it's kind of sort of like Quant, where you don't really hear about many hiccups. Yeah, they had that whole thing about the distribution of coins and blah 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 blah, but they're on a straight and narrow now. They got that thing squared away, and we're moving forward. And them moving forward is the proof is in the pudding. Just look at the announcements, look at everything that we're doing. It's like every week, every 2 weeks, there's like 4, 5, 6 announcements coming out, and it's like one announcement trumps another announcement, which trumps another announcement. It's like what? It's too much to even keep up with at this point in time. That's how you have a technology company that is literally putting the work in. They got their heads down, because you don't hear a lot of rustle and bustle about those CEOs of Hedera. Unlike some other CEOs that's always in the media and always in the limelight and always tweeting and this and tweeting that on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Those guys over at Hedera, they keep it professional. They keep it exactly where it needs to be in this box. And let's work together to build out this future of Web3 with things like the DREC Alliance and the building out the governing council and things of that nature. Okay. And of course, Ripple. I mean, Ripple is Ripple. I mean, come on now. Like, what is there to say about the almost new financial structure of the way money and banks are flowing through the world? You know what I'm saying? And to have these three, the foundation and Ripple and Hedera, all joining forces together to build out any project, it's a knockout of the park. It's a no-brainer for me. But I keep it over to you, brother.
Yeah, it is also no brainer for me as well. And the way I would look at it, Channing, is, it's like the whole concept of when we talk about digital euro moving forward, well, wouldn't there be a treasury? So with that said, a while back I wrote an article. I thought I would do a little something more fun than just me reading an article to you guys. So this is put into like I guess you could say like a documentary style format. It's got some visuals. We're trying to make learning fun. So this is just 2.5 minutes. We're going to kick it over to that. And here it basically is about to come up on your screen. And here it is.
QNT has its own treasury. We are talking about hundreds of use cases. A pure utility token that can be used for everything. Did you know Quant has a treasury? Did you know that they are the fiat to QNT token handler? It is literally a treasury white glove service, as Quant Papa has eloquently put it. Just as a Las Vegas casino, for instance, has handlers for chips, the QNT treasury has handlers that converts actual fiat, cash, to QNT tokens. Better yet, the QNT treasury is internal and is not outsourced to anyone. This is great because this prevents security issues from possibly happening. QNT's treasury is imperative for the QNT token because each token, for instance, have a correlation of value to the Quant network's actual business growth. The QNT token is compulsory, required by law, in which the Quant treasury uses internal conversion as a business standard. This means all businesses must buy the actual QNT token, and you better believe that includes the big institutions like BlackRock and so on. The Quant treasury is literally the intermediary. Bottom line, the Quant treasury is the fundamental converter, handler, and manager. Can you imagine the annual license fee in QNT for the BlackRocks of the world? My goodness, if you're familiar with foreign exchange, one way to look at this is like an internal exchange, essentially. But instead, this is a compulsory, required by law exchange, and is literally internally designed by the Quant network to be that way. Enterprises demand a private treasury because, let's face it, it's all about trust. Those who know, understand the true value of QNT. The treasury converts the platform fee for enterprise into QNT to take away the friction. According to Quant's Gilbert Verdian, I don't know about you, but after hearing that, let's freaking go.
Yeah, let's freaking go, to say the least. So we're going to just fast track some of this and then get Channing with his closing thoughts. But thought I would, send you guys over this nice little video with visualizations. So what we're going to do now is pull up the last bit of what we have. And basically speaking, here it is. Why point this out? Well, again, we do this every now and then. So if you go to the quant.network and you do a basic search of OMFIF, I don't know if you guys remember, but I did this with Stellar, with R3 as well. So you see two search results for blockchain secure and timestamped and blockchain-based payments, a necessary innovation. Now again, why get into the weeds of this? Well, everything has a starting point. November of just a few months ago, blockchain secure and timestamped. You see here about, for example, according to a 2024 report by OMFIF, the share of survey participants who are considering adopting DLT or blockchain increased by 9% between 2023 and 2024 as attitudes shift and adoption of this technology increases. Staying ahead of blockchain-specific cyber threats is more imperative than ever. The first step is safeguarding your organization's operations, is basically understanding blockchain security. All right. Well, we understand some of this, right? So as we get further down into it, I want to share this, and basically it's back to the whole thing about what Channing was talking about with law. Time-stamping documentation can help improving the date of creation and ownership, especially beneficial in copyright cases where establishing timelines, of course, is essential. Now, on the very, very bottom, you get to the whole thing of cybersecurity, data security, enterprises, financial institutions, so on and so forth, right? But even below that, talks about the 13th of January, payments of 2025, adapt or basically get left behind. And look what it says. CBDC is tagged European Central Bank. Now, again, you're going to see some key things here. So another thing about OMFIF, this is on, part 2, basically. Look what it says. High friction transactions can involve multiple time zones, regulations, and payment systems. But if you build it, they will come. Again, I want you guys to understand why we do these deep dives. With its challenges, no wonder that blockchain-based payments are ripe for consideration. Furthermore, this new infrastructure, I should say, may help level the playing field to stimulate competition and growth across the paytech sector. Stimulate competition. What about some of the competitors coming together to reach a common goal? Right. Once the DLT network is established. Okay, so with that fresh in your mind, we did state that we would have a key person that's part of the whole mix. Introducing the one and only Dr. Paulo Tasca, professor, economist, and renowned expert in distributed systems, blockchain, and Web3, founder of 2 notable blockchain organizations, University College London Center for Blockchain Tech, and the DLT Science Foundation, DSF. Now, again, why point this guy out? Well, if you're new to the space, here's why. Paulo is sought after advisor in blockchain, CBDCs, and Web3. He serves on the advisory boards, executive committees of several companies and organizations, including Hedera Hashgraph, Ripple, and APA. How many times have we shared in APA in regards to Quant and also like XDC? But I want to share another thing with you. Speaking of Quant, because we just mentioned Hashgraph and Ripple. So he's the co-founder, along with Gilbert Verdin, of the Quant Network from January 2017 to December of 2018. So this guy is that key plug to all 3. That's why we highlight some of this. And the other thing I want to highlight is this. He's part of this thing called Sustainable Development Goals. 1, no poverty. Now, if you get into a basic search about this, the goal of no one poverty is, for example, United States Sustainable Development, and it's to end poverty in all forms by 2030. Now, we know about Quant Network's connection to, obviously, the UN. So, again, this is kind of added up in my eyes. Before we kick it over to this next part about Nasara Gasara, which I understand is a little controversial, I want to, again, get Channing's thoughts and concerns in regards to this, brother, because the way I look at it is you cover HBAR so eloquently well. You've been covering it a lot on your channel, and for me to see Paulo Tasca, Channing, as being your Ripple plug, your Quant plug, and your Hedera plug, when we talk about the digital euro, I think he is the orchestrator of having all 3, as you would say, of these conglomerates coming together to solve this whole thing moving forward of the digital euro. So again, I definitely want to get your thoughts before we kick it into the last part of this outline.
Paulo Tasca. Also, to think about all of the distributed ledgers that he could possibly be a part of or a co-founder of, and look at the ones that he actually are associated with. We're talking the ones that are your most regulatory compliant. We're talking about the ones that have the most enterprise partnerships in the world, both Quant, Ripple, and Hedera. There's no one coming close to those three and their partnerships and what they've already solidified over the last, let's just say, 4 years, as far as announcement after announcement after announcement. And to see that, it's almost a little glimpse into his vision as well, because he's like, okay, I'm with Quant and Quant is doing this, and I can see how this can tie into this. So let me hop over because Hedera is doing some amazing things over here, and let me see how this can actually tie into Ripple and what Ripple has going on, and how we can build this thing out harmoniously, like very, very, very smart and strategic, just like most of the players in this space, whether it's the central banks, whether it's the businesses, whether it is the governments, or whether it is the Web3 players themselves. They are all moving at this point very strategically, because they've already harmoniously behind the scenes been working on goals. Think about like ISO TC 307. They're now going into their 9th year of existence. You've now, throughout that 9 years, have a total of 60 something countries coming together, building out blockchain standards. Okay. Understand exactly what that means. And then to see that a lot of those same countries are now also tapping into your Ripples and your Hederas and your Quants in multiple different levels, is because they are regulatory compliant. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, regulation. Oh, when is it gonna happen? Is it never gonna happen? It's happening. It's coming. Just give it time for it to actually come into fruition, and understand, once the regulation is laid, it gives these players that are already attached to your Ripples and your Quants and your Hederas that guidance and understanding that, okay, now you go ahead and you can now join this sandbox of players and start operating in this Web3 space. And for someone like Paulo Tasca to see that very early on, and to help in the orchestration of that from multiple different companies on different levels, because all three of those companies are doing a different part, or putting together a different part of the overall puzzle. So it's nothing not to tap into, nothing not to pay attention to. Quant Network and the things that they're doing with the digital pound, the things they're doing with the digital dollar. Look at LackChain. What is LackChain using? The digital dollar, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Look at the things they're doing with the digital euro, and so forth and so on. And now potentially with seeing the patents coming out of China, possibly even already behind the scenes working with the digital yuan or euro, however you pronounce their particular currency name, and anywhere else in the world. We already tied them to also Australia, and then also know that I believe it's AADD or something on those lines, just announced about the deployment of a stable coin as far as pegging to the Australian dollar on Hedera. All of these things are not simultaneously happening with the same players over and over and over again for no reason. It's because these players have proven themselves on multiple different levels to different governments, corporations, and enterprises. I am the tech stack that will support your tech stack, and ingraining us into your underlying infrastructure is the solution to the problem that you're facing, or the future problems that you will face once things like AI continues to advance, and you have things like going to that age where now you can start breaking into things because the technology has gotten so advanced. So I'm your future proof of that. Add these in to your everyday processes. It won't take much time. You can have it up and running in no time. You don't have to hire any external developers. You can just tap right into us. We are the treasury. We are the stablecoin studio. We are, you know, the processor. We already have the connections with the other players that you already do business with. You through things like your oracles, and it's all one big mashup of these companies coming together saying, let's build out literally the internet of value, the internet of trust, the Finternet. And it is quite incredible that we're literally seeing this unfold right in front of our eyes. 2025, as far as the realm of distributed ledger technologies, is going to be a year that goes down in history, because it's going to be that official year that you see TradFi, and the digital space, literally that bridge. You literally see it happening. And you see it through things like SOB 121 getting overturned, and now banks can start custodying crypto. You see it through things like Mika is now live and operational, and it's only we're literally only 1 month into them being live and operational. Now give it 2 years of them being live and operational. We know that we'll have regulation in the US hopefully within the next 6 months. The UK, same thing. You know, then we have the certain mandates going live November 22nd, 2025, as far as the ISO standard, as far as 222. Think about all of these things happening in harmony with each other. And look at the players that keep coming up over and over and over again. They're working together in the backgrounds, building out the future. And for us to be tapped in right now, and for us to be understanding and realizing that right now, our future selves will look back on 2025 and say, thank God I was paying attention, because I have just solidified my family for generations to come. But I'll go back to you, brother.
Key thing in regards to OMFIF. You again, you can't make this stuff up. Look at this. This is coming up, scheduled for February 11th. Okay, so when is that? Well, basically speaking, that is on Tuesday. This, look what it says, everybody. This says CBDCs, it's time for action. This is scheduled. Look what it says. Central bank digital currency have been on the lips of almost every central banker in the world for several years, but few have taken the plunge and actually launched one. The payments world is evolving. Think about this. When we talk about our Ripple XRP, our Quant QNT, or Hedera HBAR. Okay, I know this much. On at least Ripple and Quant, they claim they're not even technically cryptocurrencies, right? We are not just tokenizing, you know, so many things in real world assets, but it's understanding that programmable money moving forward. I mean, there's something really going on when it comes to 2025. All right, here again is the last part. Why is it important? Go over here again from earlier, payments of 2025. Adapt or get left behind. All right, and again, it's time for action. If this isn't your connector, I don't know what is, Channing. The way I look at it is, it's more than just how do you say Quant without saying Quant? How do you say Hedera? How do you say Ripple? How do you say Quant? All of these, how you say it is guys like Paulo Tasca, who was part of all three. Guys, we won't keep you any more further. I know this was quite the deep dive. It's been a few days since I've been with you guys. I've had some real life distractions, but glad to be back with you guys. Glad to obviously do these collaborations with Channing. And with that said, just let us know if you listen to the entire outline and type in this key term into the comments, and that is Dr. Paulo Tasca, and we'll know that you listen to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Channing, as the saying goes, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. And with that said, Channing, you got something you want to tell everybody?
Y'all already know. Peace out.
Peace out, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.